Good evening and welcome to my channel Equity One. And today we have got a very interesting news to talk about in the lines of our automobile business. Well, we were speaking about Tata Motors yesterday and we saw that the interest that Tata Motors have taken in terms of building the futuristic electric vehicles have really gone up. Following the same lines, Hero Motor Corp today has also announced about the factor that they also want to get into the production, a mass production of electric vehicles. By 2024, that is by next year, you will be seeing a range of Hero vehicles that are going to be launched in India, and they are going to have a great amount of significance both in terms of the price and also in terms of the usage. Now, Hero Motor Corp has come out with a very good blueprint and they have tried to being on the presence of the digital world also. So they have tried to shift their entire company's business from going into digital rather than being digital altogether. Now, what is then that we have got about with this automobile sector? Why is that this sector picking up the heat all of a sudden? Let us understand this factor very clearly that in the future, the automobile industry is going to have a great amount of presence, not just because of the fuel prices and other factors, but also in the supply chain logistics and when we are talking about the transportation business. So somewhere down the lane, till now, if the automotive industry has not been really interesting, it is going to get interesting in the coming years. So definitely my suggestion would be to look into Hero Motor Corp, and this share is definitely going to give you very good returns in coming years. Now, as we were talking about this, the other side of the story, that which I would also like to relate to you is that now we have also seen that there have been a couple of frauds, scams that have been going on with the industry, and we have also been talking about what has happened yesterday in terms of the Z promoters also. Now, the interesting part that we also need to see in the modern system, that is in the modern corporate world that we have been talking about, is the coming of AI into the space of automobile industry, the coming of artificial intelligence, which is also going to be imbibed in most of these vehicles. So with all this advent of technology, I think the leaders of the automobile sector that we have been talking about, like Maruti or Hero Motor Corp, Bajaj and Tata Motors, of course, are going to make a massive presence in terms of investment and also in terms of economic growth. Though of late, many of these automobile makers initially faced a challenge in terms of not getting the EV sanctions. Why? Because the financial assets or the financial valuation were sometimes were not up to the mark. But again, the attempt to revive the electric vehicle and make India a very, very strong market in terms of the electric vehicle has gone down very clearly. So even if the prices of petrol is going to come down, the diesel might come down is secondary for us. But what is going to be very, very important for all of us is that we would be probably seeing that electric vehicles are going to upscale the sales factor very clearly. So as a smart investor, I would definitely ask you to look into the automobile sector. Keep a keen watch onto this particular sector. Why? Because definitely this is going to give a home run, a dream run to most of our investors. Also with that, I would also like to mention the factor that most of these automobile sector would also tie up with financial services, which I would be covering in the coming videos. Why? Because the other side, we are also seeing that the consumer finance is now going to pick up to a very great extent, and that would also be a very good story for us to look into it, because in the coming years we are going to see a greater revolution coming in terms of consumer finance also. So with that, I would like to come to the conclusion for today's video. I hope and believe that all this information would help you to make a smart decision and continue to grow with your investments. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me today on this wonderful session.